you want to hear a secret?
What if I told you that a huge segment of the rabid Modelo drinking Venom merchandise-clad group, collectively known as mixed martial arts fans, are heavily into anime? It might come as a surprise to many that a bunch of bloodthirsty thrill-seekers are also fans of animated shows. After all, sports and Greek culture are often seen as oil and water. But let me assure you, that's not the case at all. Martial arts is a huge part of anime, and some of the best ones often contain scenes that features moves and sequences inspired by real-life fighting. With that said, it's only natural for the MMA diehards to be hooked by animes and vice versa. On that note, today we're looking at 5 of the best anime shows MMA enthusiasts are guaranteed to get a kick out of. Fist of the North Star. Fist of the North Star, or Hokuto no Ken as it is known in Japan, is a retro anime that has reached legendary status. Set in an apocalyptic dystopian world, the show's plot follows the story of a fearsome warrior named Kenshiro as he tries to track down his arch-nemesis Shin, who has kidnapped his fiancée. At first glance, it appears that the show's protagonist is inspired by the father of MMA himself, Bruce Lee. Fist of the North Star doesn't necessarily portray martial arts in a realistic manner, since Kenshiro has the ability to strike pressure points on his opponent's bodies, which then cause them to explode. Nonetheless, Fist of the North Star is an exceedingly fun watch as it features exciting fight sequences between Kenshiro and a host of sinister foes he encounters along his quest. For an anime that was originally released in 1986, it has stood the test of time as it's still one of the most beloved shows among fans of the genre. And in case you were wondering, yes, Fist of the North Star gave us the iconic "Omae wa mo shinderu" scene that's been fuel for several memes. Hajime no Ippo. Over the years, there have been several animes that depict boxing and the struggles of professional pugilists. However, no other anime has stood out in pop culture quite as Hajime no Ippo did, as it truly feels like a love letter to the sport. The show tells of the story of Ippo Makinauchi, a bullied student who is saved one day by a professional and taken to his boxing gym. Shortly thereafter, Ippo finds himself enthralled by sweet science and would decide to become a disciple of his savior, Mamoru Takamura, who takes him under his wing. Although Ippo follows the traditional trope of an underdog climbing his way to greatness, it still separates itself from the rest, thanks in large part to the organic character developments displayed throughout the series. But what truly makes Ippo the undisputed champion of the boxing-themed animes is its accurate and believable depiction of the fights. Avatar: The Last Airbender. The jury is still out on whether or not Nickelodeon's Avatar: The Last Airbender is considered an anime, but for all intents and purposes, Avatar follows the same animation style as its Japanese counterparts. The only reason against it being included in the genre is that it wasn't created nor produced by a Japanese studio. The whole conundrum aside, Avatar is strangely an apt metaphor for mixed martial arts. The series revolves around the journey of a 12-year-old named Aang, a bubbly, fun little boy with not so little responsibilities. With the help of his crew, Aang travels the world to gain mastery over the various bending styles, or the ability to control the 4 basic elements, and ultimately fulfill his duty to save the world from tyranny. And although Aang doesn't necessarily feature the traditional hand-to-hand combat that the fans would expect out of a martial arts-inspired anime, the show is extremely popular and captivating due to the complex themes it tackles, and the stellar storytelling it utilizes to further the plot. Kengan Ashida. If we were to focus on the aspect of realism, no other anime captures the essence of prize fighting quite like Kengan Ashida does. Centered around a tournament where fighters battle it out for corporations, the series showcases combatants with varying styles and personalities. Now, doesn't that premise sound eerily similar to the current landscape of the UFC? Just like many of our beloved MMA stars, Kengan Ashida's protagonist, Ouma Takeda, is motivated by his desire to prove himself to be the strongest fighter. Alongside his manager, Kazuo Yamashita, Takeda is faced with the challenge of locking horns against rival fighters aiming for the same goal. What makes Kengan stand out is how it seamlessly weaves together its supernatural aspects with lifelike martial arts techniques. Kengan receives criticism for its animation style, which some, excluding us, believes kills the magic of the fights. But at the end of the day, it's exactly Kengan's unique visual experience that make the anime a sight to behold. Baki. It would be borderline sacrilegious to create a list of the best martial arts-inspired animes without mentioning Baki the Grappler. In that regard, Baki takes the cake for this one, as it's considered by many to be the godfather of combat anime. Baki is an anime adaptation of the similarly titled manga series released in 1991. The story revolves around Baki Hanuma, a young man who has dedicated his life to the craft of fighting. His goal? To become the best grappler in the world and take the title from his father. However, that would not be an easy feat, as Baki's father, Yujiro Hanuma, is known to be the most powerful being on the planet. Baki's art style is also truly one of a kind, making each episode of the series a must-watch. And if everything mentioned above still does nothing to raise your hype level for this anime, there's a character in Baki inspired by real-life MMA megastar Conor McGregor. And to add the cherry on the Baki sundae, UFC middleweight champ Israel Adesanya provided the voice for the English dub of Chamomile Lesson in Netflix recently released Baki Hanuma.